Good, good. Happy Monday, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you today. It is me, Rebecca Pierce, with the Lemonade Mindset. And this show is brought to you, of course, by RLP Productions. And I am so happy to be here with you in my neck of the woods. It's a beautiful, sunny Monday, January the 20th, 2020. And today we are celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I am so excited to be having this broadcast begin this week because Dr. King was pivotal in shaping the voice of the unheard in this country. And if you're listening to us from other parts of the world, I am confident that his legacy extends far and wide to your neck of the woods, especially when one has this conversation or a look at human rights. And so today on the Lemonade Mindset podcast, we want to talk about our theme for today is a servant's heart. And so let's begin with a quote from Dr. King himself. He said, "Life's most important and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Let me repeat that. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Now, when we look at the legacy, look at the story of Dr. King, we understand that Dr. King did not do what he did on his own. He had a team with him. He had people that supported and uplifted him as he fought to end oppression and inequality in this country for not only his own people, but for people of all races, creeds, and gender. And we celebrate that, but also we need to understand that one of the things that drove Dr. King was that he had a servant's heart. And Dr. King often spoke about how, he was afraid of the things that were to come when he knew that he had to step out publicly and do something about the injustices in Alabama and other parts of the Deep South. And even when he went to the North to fight against poverty, he knew that he was taking a very large risk. He knew what was at stake, but he also was more profoundly aware that we are here to be of service. And that's what we want to focus on today. We are here to be of service. So before we can even talk about having a servant's heart, we have to understand first what are the things that keep us from serving. If you know the story of Dr. King, when he was first approached about what was happening, about what needed to be done in Alabama, and about what Rosa Parks had done, at first he was reluctant to be involved because he understood it was a huge risk, and that his family was going to be thrust into, the forefront of this very, very issue. So one of the things that keeps us from serving is fear. You see what you could be, and you are terrified of it because you're not sure if that is truly possible. And let me put it in another perspective. When we see homeless people or people on the streets with signs begging for food or a job or money to buy food or whatnot, one of the things that repels us from that person is this absolute fear that could be me. And then that fear leads us to the second thing that stops us, which is anger. We want to reject the belief that we are not in control. See, because that person is a reminder to us that we are not in control of everything and everyone. Our circumstances could change at any moment. And that terrifies us to understand that, because many of us walk around believing that we have a handle on everything and that we can do anything and everything because we are in control. When the truth of the matter is that The only thing you're in control of is your response to the things that are happening externally and internally in your world. And so that anger then leads to this ugly, ugly thing called judgment. I'm better than them. That'll never happen to me. I'm better than them. And instead of giving what you have in your pocket to that person, or at least stopping and having a conversation with them, you drive off and ignore them, or you make a nasty comment towards them. Get a job, get off the corner. You know, this all stems from fear. And what many of the men and women who had the courage to say no to the things that were going on in their community that were wrong, that were oppressing people and denying people opportunity, is that they had to make a decision as to whether or not they would live in that fear or that they would follow the servant's heart. If you look at it from the Christian perspective, you might not be a Christian, but if you look at the stories, period, of the different entities that have presented itself to the world, to the different belief systems, and in Christianity, we call it God. When God came here and he began to work with the people, even some of his disciples said, well, why are you touching those people? Aren't you afraid of what they'll give you, like leprosy or the king's going to kill you? And God was like, I am here to be of service. And I firmly believe that is one of the things Dr. King and many of the men and women on his team and many of the men and women that he worked with across the world to help end oppression and inequality. That is what many of them finally had to come to terms with, come to recognize, is that you have a servant's heart, and that heart, that has to be stronger than your fear and your anger and your judgment. So then that leads us to the question of then how can we have the servant's heart once we move past these things? And for me, and again, for many people who work in the field of service, it is understanding that we are our brother's keeper. That yes, that person on the corner with the drug addiction or the alcoholism or just having run through very hard times that put them there, that could be you. And the question is, if you recognize and understand that could be you, would you want someone to help you if you were there? If that was you on the corner? I think we've gotten away. No, I know that we have gotten away from understanding that we are here to be of service to one another because we are so caught up. Fear has disconnected us from this innate understanding that we are our brother's keeper. And so when you begin to put yourself in the shoes of that person, you don't have to have experienced the loss of a home to understand loss. You don't have to have experienced the death of a loved one to not know pain of the heart. So we have to recognize that we are our brother's keeper, and that the help we give to others is the help we extend to ourselves. And that leads to the second thing. When you recognize and understand that you are your brother's keeper, you release judgment. I tell my students this quite often when I have the opportunity to be in the classroom to teach literature from every period in human history, that it is not your job to judge. It is your job to serve. And I tell my kids that when we see, homeless or poverty-stricken persons on the street, it's not your place to judge whether you believe in the manner in which they live or not. Your job is to serve, is to love. You don't have the power to convict or condemn. You don't have that power. And so we have to release judgment and understanding that we are here to be of service. The third thing that leads us to having a servant's heart is understanding then how to use your gift or gifts selflessly but wisely to be of service to others. There's a difference between being of service and getting lost in your service. If it costs you your mental or physical health, you must stop. You must recharge and ask for help. There were marches going on all over the South. Dr. King could not be at every one of them, and I'm sure he wanted to be. But even he knew that the body must rest. You are no good to anyone worn out and on the floor. And so it is important that you have a team and that you share with your team when you have come to the moment in recognizing that your body needs rest, that your mind needs rest. It's not all about you. And many of our greatest civil rights leaders and activists, human rights activists, and advocates recognize that the movement is not about you. You are a part of the movement, but it is not you. So you want to use your gifts wisely and selflessly, but recognize when you need to step back and take care of you. And that leads us to the fourth step into having a servant's heart. And that is that this ties back to the beginning when we talked about fear. You know, even if you're afraid, do it anyway. Jump. There are times where, we might not be sure if we're capable or able, but we live currently in a day and age when technology makes just about anything possible. And all we need to do is find and bring to our team those persons who know how to use that technology, know how to use that information. But, there's no reason why you can't start today in being a part of the greater good, in having a servant's heart. The only thing that is stopping you really is you. Scripture says in Galatians 5:13 that we are to serve one another in love. And on this day, January 20th, 2020, as we honor the memory and the legacy and the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I want you to remember that we are here to serve one another in love. And the Buddha says, if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. We do things in love because we understand the reciprocity of the mirror. Michael Jackson said it. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. When you see someone on the street or you see a need, you are seeing yourself. And we must understand that we must do something. Silence and judgment is the death of strength. And we must understand that compassion to others is giving compassion to ourselves, because there will come a time when we will need that for us. And we have to be mindful of that. We have to work in that understanding. That is how you have a servant's heart and how you work that servant's heart. Wow, that's a powerful message. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to deliver that to you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, I'm asking that you please share it via Podbean or download it on iTunes and share it on your iTunes, on your social media pages. Again, follow us. We are on LinkedIn as Rebecca Pierce. We're on Instagram as Rebecca Lynn Pierce, and Twitter, of course, as Productions, at Productions RLP, or at Rebecca Pierce. And of course on Facebook also as Productions RLP or Rebecca L. Pierce. I hope that you enjoyed this message enough that you will also subscribe to our free e-newsletter publication, which is coming out today. Also talking about a servant's heart, the Lemonade Mindset e-newsletter. You can subscribe to that for free at our website, rlpproductions.com. Again, that's rlpproductions.com. Hey, it's free, but it's filled with love and resources and positivity. And those things are the things that can help you create the life you were purposed for and help you step into a world of possibilities with a servant's heart. And then again, we are excited that we released last week our Lemonade Mindset magazine. That is now available. 12 issues a year for $25. You can also check that out at rlpproductions.com. I thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I know that it is very valuable to you, as it is to me. And I pray that this information shared with you today will help you get one step closer to living the life you were purposed for. Thank you so much for tuning into the Lemonade Mindset. We will see you next week. Please feel free to leave us a message, send us an email, a tweet, a post, anything about your thoughts on our topic today. And with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much.